This is Morning Juice. Sports, insight, and great storytelling. Starring Bobby Carpenter and Jeff Tito Thidoff. It's time to attack and dominate.
Indeed, it is a time to attack and dominate. Morning Juice on a Monday. Tito, Carp, Shark with you. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. We appreciate that. Lots to get into today. We'll have Bill Bender coming up at around 7:20 this morning. Catch up with him for the sporting news. Always like doing that as well. But lots of stuff went on yesterday in the world of sports. Bobby, before we get to Today in History, how was your weekend, my friend?
It was good as always. Got a lot of sports in, got a little camp out in.
That's right, the camp out, the cabin out.
What's the difference?
I don't camp out. I would cabin out.
Well, I slept in a cabin.
Right, that's me. That'd be a cabin out for me. A camp out would be in a tent.
It's not called a tent out.
That's a good point. That's fair.
So I think that
you were outside of your home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
How was that? Did you enjoy it?
It was good. It was good. Got a chance to do some of that and got back and had dinner with the family and some friends on Saturday night. So that was good. And then, Sunday just running around for two of our kids' sports being done. We had a lot of stuff going on with banquets and meetings and all kinds of stuff. So happy to put a lot of that in the rearview mirror here as we move forward. And they've got the kids have a week and a half left of school. So
isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it goes quick every year. So pretty excited with all of that and ready to attack this week heading into Memorial Day weekend.
There we go. Reds beat the Guardians yesterday 3-1. Reds complete the 3-game sweep. Shark, the Reds beat the Guardians 3-1. If you didn't hear me the first time there, Shark, Reds complete the 3-game sweep. Not much reaction there on your part. Reds in Pittsburgh tonight at 6:40. Guardians in Minnesota tonight at 7:40. In the NBA, OKC over Denver 125-93 in Game 7. They advance to play Minnesota. No NBA today. Minnesota OKC in that Western Conference Final matchup on Tuesday at 8:30. Eastern Conference Final gets underway Wednesday. Indiana at the Knicks. NHL Florida 6, Toronto 1 in that Game 7 result. Goalie Bob and Seth Jones advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. They'll take on Carolina on Tuesday. Western Conference Final starts Wednesday. Edmonton and Dallas. In golf, Scotty Scheffler won his third major, claiming the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. He joined Seve Ballesteros. He is the only other golfer now in the past 100 years to win each of their first 3 majors by more than 3 strokes. He won it by 6 shots yesterday, Scheffler did. It's the 15th PGA Tour victory for Scheffler. And since World War II, only 2 other golfers have won 15 times on tour and 3 majors before age 29. That is Jack and Tiger. On Saturday, hell was real. Crew Cincinnati tied 1-1 over at lower.com. And that's the mix on the weekend there, Bobby. Let's
the mix on the weekend.
I don't know. That's
good. I know that everybody from Cincinnati's fired up for the Ohio Cup. For the first time in a long time, the Reds were able to take it.
Reds swept them. Shark, Did you hear that? Reds swept the...
I think he did. The Guards are in the midst of a 4-game losing streak. So
I went out there yesterday for the game.
Did you? Yeah. That's right. I saw Artie bringing his... Did he wear his cleats or did he have shoes?
He put his shoes on after the game and wore it out there. But the seats I selected, I was thinking to myself, okay, it's a little cool. Temperatures like high 60s. It's going to be breezy, Yeah. And I get out there, and we absolutely fried.
Well, the thing was, in the sun, when the breeze stopped, it was hot. Somewhere behind the clouds, wind was going, it dropped like 15 degrees. So it was really hard. I was over, my neighbors were at the pool some, in between some games, and it would go from cold to sweaty. Yeah. Cold to sunburn, and there was really nothing in between. So I get it. I mean, if you were in the shade, you would have probably been cold. And if you were out in the sun and there was no cloud cover and no breeze, then that was going to be bumpy.
Up in the 400s. Kids got to run the bases after the game, though. Had to tell Artie not to slide. Yeah, you can't slide. But
why?
They got a rule out there. There's shepherding people around. They just said you can't slide into the bases. I thought that was.
Well, let me ask you this: if you did slide, what would they do? Kick you out? The game's over. And when's the next time you're coming back?
I told him. I said, Artie, Pete Rose used to head first slide into third. He said, oh, he did, and I said, yeah. And he said, can I do that? And I said, let's ask somebody. And they said no.
Here's what I've always heard: it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
That's exactly right. That's the key to marriage too, by the way. All right, Bob. And by the way, that's good advice coming from guy on number 2. Let's do Today in History.
Time to get smarter. Morning Juice presents a day in history. Here's your professor, Bobby Carpenter.
Make us smarter, Bobby.
Well, it is Monday, May 19th, 139th day of the year, 226 days remaining in this 2025. This date, 1848, Mexico ratifies the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, ending the war and ceding California, Nevada, and parts of 4 other states to the United States. It was one of the biggest, out right there with the Louisiana Purchase and Alaska, one of the biggest growth opportunities for the United States. Paid $15 million as part of that for the rest of that land as well. The state 1883, Buffalo's Bills Wild West opens in Omaha, Nebraska. That's not the Buffalo Bill with putting the lotion on the skin that off, in case you wondered.
I didn't know. I wasn't sure. Okay.
Oh, man. And one of my all-time favorites, JFK's birthday is coming up here. And his birthday salute in 1962 at Madison Square Garden, Marilyn Monroe sings, "Happy Birthday, Mr. President."
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can now retire from politics after having had Happy Birthday sung to me.
Mm-hmm. That is amazing. Shark, does Jen got that planned up for you on July 11th?
Yeah, that was the only thing that
Whoa.
Marilyn gave to him.
Oh, Marilyn. Okay, I thought we were going Shark personal there.
Who knows? Also on this date in 1965, Ticket to Ride hits #1 by the Beatles.
The girl that's driving me mad is going away. She's got a ticket to ride.
Oh, yeah. Nice one. That's probably my top 10 Beatles.
Wow, Bob.
Did you ever hear the Clarence
oldie.
version of it? Clarence and the Beatles? It used to be, Clarence was an Eddie Murphy character on SNL, came on one time and said he was the 5th Beatle, and they never gave him credit. And he talked about how he influenced the Beatles' hairstyles and some of the songs. He changed some of the lyrics to a much more, we'll say, profane title.
Yeah,
I'll tell you off the
course.
break what it is.
Oh, it's Eddie Murray. It's Eddie Murphy. It's raw and real. Also in this date, 1975 years later, In the Navy hits #3, topping its chart list. How about that? A little banger there from the Village People. And then in this day, 2010, Stairway to Heaven is named and voted favorite rock song by the United Kingdom.
Man, it's hard to isolate 10 seconds of that song.
It's 7 minutes
Jeez.
long, Shark. I mean, it's a banger right there. Is it 8 minutes and 10 seconds? Is that
I think
what
it's
Something like
8:10.
that.
I think it's 8:10.
8:10. I
Yeah.
was thinking 7:10. 8:10. It's almost like 2 different songs after
yeah.
they go through the beginning of it, and then right there is where it flips over on the chorus line. This date, some birthdays. This date's 1795. Johns Hopkins. Only Johns I know. I know a lot of Johns, but
that's a good
not the
point.
plural of that. Obviously, the school founding the school that bears his name, but yeah, multiple Johns. You know, I'll have to ask my parents. My brother's name's Jonathan. If they ever thought about naming him Johns.
Johns, yeah.
You know,
A lot of pressure, though.
You know, maybe
Because
just.
you're not the Johns Hopkins, you're the other Johns.
Well, I mean that's true, but he's been gone for a while. Maybe bring it back that off in a big way. Big day for Sharky here, one of his favorite communist leaders of all time. Ho Chi Minh, born on this date, 1890.
I don't have Ho
I
Chi.
thought you
I've
had-
got the other one.
I thought you had some of your some speeches from over there.
Didn't they name a trail
with your
after
guy.
him?
They did have a trail, but also then we go to Thidoff was the one that brought him up when we were talking about our top 4 best people in the world. We were putting up against
Modell, right?
Modell. Who would you? What was it? Who would you rather?
Who was a worse human being?
Yeah, and then we had I think
Modell, we had
Hitler,
Hitler, Stalin,
Hitler.
yeah.
Thidoff's
Pol Pot.
contribution was Pol Pot, and
Yeah.
on this date, 1925, imagine him and Ho Chi Minh being born on the same day, just 35 years apart, Pol Pot was born.
At the Chung Ek Memorial in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, you'll find a tower-like structure used as a place of prayer and meditation by Buddhists. At a distance, this little building might seem like a good photo op, but if you get closer, you'll see a truly harrowing sight. Around 5,000 human skulls are stored inside. While this is horrific in its own right, 5,000 dead are the tip of the iceberg for what lays below in a mass grave known as the Killing Fields. And for this, we have one man to thank, Pol Pot, leader of the Khmer Rouge and orchestrator of the horrific Cambodian genocide. While he's rarely mentioned alongside other vicious dictators of the 20th century, proportionally Pol Pot is as bad as any of them. Often credited with murdering practically a quarter of his own country during his 4-year reign from 1975 to 1979, Pol Pot has left a legacy of torture, brutality, fear, and mass killings that left scars on the Cambodian psyche even today.
I love that they say on a percentage basis and drop in murdering a quarter of his own country.
1/4 of the people in his country.
That's, on a percentage basis, Shark, I think he may have been probably the worst.
Percentage-wise?
Yeah. He may not have been the volume shooter that you have with the Carmelo Anthony, but on a percentage basis, he was pretty darn effective.
You bring up a good point there, Bob. I still got to go Modell, though.
I would agree with that, but Pol Pot, that's amazing. A quarter. Where did you get that, Shark? Because that sounds like something that my son would have pulled up on YouTube to watch.
I saw a couple different references to that, and I don't know what the population was at that time of Cambodia.
That was a quarter less after he was done.
That's unbelievable.
The Valley of, what do they call it? The Valley of Killing? Valley of Death? They buried all the skulls in the bottom there.
I can't believe that.
I just can't believe you got enough people in one country
that are willing to kill the other people.
I can't believe it because Hitler
kind of did it too,
the
didn't
whole
he?
country on his side. But a cult following like that, where 1/4 of the population is being killed by your leader, crazy.
It's a pretty wild scenario. Civil rights leader Malcolm X, also born on this date in 1925. Him and Pol Pot born on the same day as well. What are you laughing about that?
Oh, I mean,
I'm not saying there's any relation.
I was going to say, you're kind of lumping them together.
They were born on the same day. What am I? That's factually accurate.
All right.
I'm not saying they're the same person or
and
the same
Ho Chi
beliefs.
Minh.
Have you guys seen the movie with Denzel?
Malcolm X?
Yeah.
I have. It's been a while, though.
I've never seen it. It's on my list of things to watch.
Oh,
after you watch your old
Back
football.
to the Future.
If Law and Order's not on, or if there's not a 1982 Monday Night Football game on, then
watching
I'll
Lenny
get to it.
Briscoe. Andre the Giant, born on this date in 1946.
Everyone catered to Andre, justifiably so. Whatever it is Andre wanted, he enjoyed performing, but he enjoyed the party afterwards.
Andre was certainly one of, if not the greatest drinker that ever lived.
I myself saw him almost every night drink 7,000 calories worth of alcohol. Say 20 to 25 beers, maybe 4 bottles of wine, usually several mixed drinks.
Brother, I was with him one night when he drank 106 beers. 106. That's Andre the Giant, brother.
Most wrestlers would maybe have a 6-pack, and Andre, the minimum that he would ever have was 24.
He liked the wine. He'd have him bring in a case to start the day, a case of wine.
I was there. Wasn't there for the drinking. I was there the next morning in the lobby when he's still sleeping on the floor. Nobody could keep up with him. No, I don't care who you were.
That is from the Netflix documentary because I watched that.
Okay.
Yes. That's in the first or second episode. And when they were talking about that, you're like, a case of beer, 4 or 5 bottles of wine. I'm like, granted, he was 500 pounds or 480.
Could you imagine if you were just a kid on vacation with his family? You go downstairs to the hotel lobby, maybe get the continental breakfast, and you see Andre the Giant. Not even an ogre who looks like he's eaten 5 or 6 ogres laying down on the floor asleep or on the couch out there. I'd wonder, where the hell am I and what happened?
Yeah, 100%. Also born on that exact same day. No, actually born 3 years later, turning 76. The patriarch of the Manning family, Archie Manning.
The New Orleans faithful had proclaimed this saint a god before he had even taken a snap in the pros. And in his very first game, Manning answered their prayers by pulling out the first opening day win in franchise history.
I guess it's a great way to start a career, but on the other hand, it just, I think, built those expectations even higher for the fans here that I was going to be the savior for the franchise.
During Manning's 11 years with the Saints, they lost more games than any team in the league. And the only place you'll find him in the NFL record book is under the heading, most times sacked.
I don't like losing. A lot of people tell me, why don't you try to leave New Orleans and go somewhere else? I feel like it would be very rewarding and meaningful if I could be on a winner here, and that's why I want to stick it out. I want to stay here. I want to win here.
What was the Shark, because you watched some of him live, correct?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, he was a very talented player, but his teams were terrible.
Awful.
But there was the perception around, consensus around the NFL that he was a really good player. He was a very talented quarterback. They were just bad.
Finally, I think it was 1978, they went 8-8. First winning season in
first non-losing
season, and he won league MVP that year.
Did he really? In 78?
80
over
88.
Campbell?
Look it up. Google it.
I thought Campbell was Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same year.
Google it. Okay. Archie Manning MVP.
I think you're wrong.
Okay.
Well,
it'd be the first time I've ever been wrong.
Are you looking it up, Bobby?
He did not win it. In 79, Earl did win him, but Earl
78?
Because
78 was Earl's rookie season.
Earl did not win it in 70. Well, hold on. They've
probably got a couple of them.
They've got
on
a
there.
couple different ones here from back in the day. And so he split it. Bradshaw won one of them. He won another.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
He won it
Bradshaw.
the next year.
Yeah. Maybe it was.
I think it was Valuable Saint, MVS.
I think it was
or MVM.
UPI.
The UPI, right there. Yeah, we can look that one up real easy. That's all out there.
Not
Yes,
AP,
whatever. No, you know what, Shark? I've got two words for you.
The UPI actually stopped doing it in 70, so they were just a little bit
okay.
before.
Apology accepted.
Maybe it was the.
It was probably the Pro Football Writers.
Yes, that's what it was.
Louisiana chapter. That's who it was. Yes, good call by you, Shark.
There we go. Some other birthdays today. Former Piston bad boy Bill Lambier turning 68.
Goes to Bird in the corner. And we're starting to see the bang-bang stuff now. Rodman is all over Bird. Dishes off now to Bird. And there is a violent knockdown by Lambier. A completely unnecessary foul by Lambier. And he pulled Bird to the ground. He slammed him to the ground. The yellow, gutless way they do things here. Bird is gone. Lambier is gone.
Nice play by Darren Day. It doesn't fall. The tip by Parrish. He can't get it to fall, and Parrish takes Lambier to the ground with a right forearm. Well, they had said it was only a matter of time till somebody did this.
Lambier, he had it coming.
And Parrish said, I had enough for you, Lambier, and he just let him have it.
When the Pistons had the Malice in the Palace, and this comes up in my YouTube feed because of all the weird stuff I watch of old sports, but it came up the other day. I saw it that Lambier was the color commentator for the local broadcast of that Malice in the Palace game for the Pistons, which just seems fitting.
It really did. You want to have someone who's been in the fray, calling the fray.
Yes.
Would love that there. Kevin Garnett, the 15-time NBA All-Star and MVP, turning 49 today. Mario Chalmers, 10-year NBA vet, finished his career in the United States in the G League and then played over in China for a couple of seasons. China, exactly. I wonder if we pay tariffs on him. Turning 39. And Lainey Wilson, country music star, turning 33 today. Some holidays and observances, as soon as I can pull those up here. Oh, goodness. We've got Accounting Day. We've got Boys Club Day. Big day for youth that off. Hepatitis Testing Day. Malcolm X Day.
Thank you for the reminder.
Plant Something Day and Victoria Day. And those are your historical events, your birthdays, your passings, your holidays, observances for this date. Monday, May 19th, the second full week of the Digital Morning Juice, 139th day of the year, and 226 days remaining this 2025.
Also, Red Sweep Day. Shark, by the way, I heard this. Bill in the chat said that he was the UPI NFC MVP in 78. Most valuable player of the conference, not of the league.
You think that's a true statement?
I think that I trust Bill.
Trust Bill over me?
No offense, Bill's not retiring anytime soon. Bill hasn't mailed it in. Coming up next, folks, make sure you stick around. Bill Bender, Sporting News, joins us. Morning Juice.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. I know firsthand what it's like to battle through joint pain. After years of the hard hits and the wear and tear on the field, I thought pain, it was just going to be something I had to live with. Let me tell you, that's no longer the case thanks to QC Kinetics. For over 8 years, QC Kinetics has been leading the charge nationwide in non-surgical joint pain relief, helping over 50,000 patients get back to doing what they love, pain-free. Whether it's your knees, back, hips, shoulders, you pick it. If joint pain's been slowing you down, you need to hear about what Dr. Aaron Walkoff and his team in Columbus are doing. They're using cutting-edge regenerative medicine, natural biologic treatments with powerful healing properties to repair and restore damaged joint tissue. No surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Just real results. The kind of treatment I wish I had access to during my playing days, and now you do. Imagine this summer playing around a golf, chasing the kids, and just enjoying a walk without the pain. Go to qckinetics.com/Columbus or call 380-228-4544. They now have offices in Grove City and Canal Winchester.
Once there was a man who couldn't stand.
A mom who couldn't wait.
A scientific community that said it couldn't be done.
And then you.
And then I. And then we brought neuromuscular disease into screaming color with the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
For 75 years, our voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
We've willed the impossible into existence. We've pushed the science,
raised the funds,
shifted the narrative,
and transformed the reality of life with neuromuscular diseases.
For 75 years, we've built communities together,
established the field of neuromuscular medicine, and made it thrive.
Call that a legacy.
Call it impact.
Call it momentum. Just call it ours.
Because it's the generations of community heroes that give MDA the strength we have today.
And until neuromuscular disease is a thing of the past, you couldn't stop us if you tried. Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Around the world, Children International and friends like you are giving children in poverty a chance to grow and thrive, to be healthy, to succeed in school, and achieve great things. How do we do it? In the best way possible, by helping ensure access to healthcare, nutrition, and educational opportunities. And most importantly, by empowering youths and their families to get out of poverty and into employment through life skills, computer, and job training. The very tools they need to break the cycle of poverty and build futures full of promise. Because every child deserves a chance to realize their full and best potential. Learn more about how Children International is empowering children and families by going to children.org today. That's children.org.
Bobby played for the Dallas Cowboys. Tito wears assless chaps.
I'm dead sexy.
You're locked into Morning Juice.
It is Morning Juice. Tito, Bobby, Shark, and now we are joined by Bill Bender for the Sporting News. Bill, it's written in our contracts. The first question we ask you has to be about the Browns quarterback situation. And curious if you have any kind of update or any kind of thoughts on that, or was it just stupid to ask that question right now?
Well, we wrote about that last week, and I talked to Nathan Zagura, the Browns color analyst on the radio, and he had a surprising answer when he said if he had to guess, he thinks Kenny Pickett might be the week one starter, and that's what they want in terms of then they can hold on to Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, kind of see what they want, and maybe you can move Joe Flacco in a trade at that point. But, with it being the Cleveland Browns, it's probably anybody's guess. I do think, Tito, they're going to keep Dylan and Shedeur. I don't think you cut a third-round pick at any point, and I think Shedeur showed enough, at least early, that when you get them at that value, at some point they're going to want to see what they got. I think both of those guys will be on the roster through the season.
I'm going to pull out my Norm Macdonald hat now. When you said week one, do you mean W-E-A-K or W-E-E-K?
That's pretty good. And they do play you saw their schedule, right?
Oh, yeah.
The first five games are brutal. Between Bengals, they get Detroit, they get Cleveland, Green Bay early, and Baltimore, Pittsburgh. It's a brutal first 5 weeks, so there may be a quarterback change at some point in those 5 weeks. Who knows?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. How many quarterbacks do you think start for the Browns next year?
Well, you'd have to set the over/under at 2.5 at least.
Jeez,
3.
that's amazing.
They've started 7 different quarterbacks the last 2 years alone, and that includes Joe Flacco taking them to the playoffs 2 years ago with that 5-game run that he had at the end of the season.
I heard this great stat that the Houston Oilers have not been around since 1996. Was the last time the Houston Oilers played an NFL game, and they've won a division title more recently than the Browns have.
Oh, wow. That is a great stat. And, well, I guess if you want to turn this positive, which I guess we have to at some point with Cleveland, they can – I look at this year as almost like trial and error at the quarterback position because – which nothing new to them, of course, but they have the 2 first-round picks next year. So if somehow one of these 3 or 4 quarterbacks shows that they can play, they could use those 2 first-round picks on other things next year, which would be wild. And if not, I guess you throw yourself into, if it's an Arch Manning or a Drew Aller or Cade Klubnik, one of those guys that is potentially going to be taken in the first round, you can go there. But I've been on record as saying that Arch Manning will go to the NFL next year. We haven't seen him start a full season yet.
Well, and you look at the track record of both of his uncles, Bill, and like how they've kind of operated, and the success of guys who play longer in college now when they do get to the NFL and what that looks like. I would have to say the favorite is for him to stay in school.
I totally agree. I mean, obviously Peyton Manning played 4 years. Eli played 5 and redshirted and didn't start till his 3rd year of college either. And then you look at, like you said, the NIL factor. The other thing, and I tweeted this at the NFL draft, was there's only been 2 quarterbacks since 1998 that went number 1 in the draft that only played 1 full season of college football, and that was Cam Newton and Kyler Murray. And both of those guys obviously had unbelievable seasons, Heisman Trophy winning seasons, but it's just a lesson that, Jaden Daniels, Cam Ward, Joe Burrow, I could go on, Justin Fields, they benefited from that extra year of school that allowed them to be first-round picks.
So when the season starts up here for college football, we fully anticipate Texas and Ohio State to both be top 5 teams. What other teams do you anticipate being in the top 5 going into the season?
Well, I think Ohio State and Texas could easily be 1 and 2. The interesting thing is how high do they go with Penn State? Is Penn State, they've not been number 1 in the preseason poll since 1997, had a really good team that year. And I think after that, you're going to look at probably Georgia and Oregon. So there's a very good chance that 3 of the top 5 teams in the country are from the Big Ten, which is a testament to what those 3 programs have coming back. I suppose Notre Dame could be number 5 instead of Oregon, depending on how you feel about Dante Moore. But all of those teams I mentioned, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, Notre Dame, are going to have a new quarterback under center. Penn State's the only one that will have a returning starter.
Which, if you've looked, historically helps immensely. I think that was some of the problem with the SEC last year. And Bill, you talked about 3 of the top 5 potentially being from the Big Ten. You throw Notre Dame in there, another regionally similar school. And not to overreact into this too much, but now that we've been into this NIL transfer portal world for a handful of years, and you feel like maybe it's starting to settle a little bit, are we seeing a power shift and a power transfer a little bit, maybe to where, not that the Big Ten's dominant, but they have won the last 2 national championships. Notre Dame was playing in another this year, that there is maybe a resettling of it, and maybe it's a little more of a level playing field than ever before?
I do. I think it's evened out, at least between the SEC and the Big Ten. I think it would be an overreaction to say the SEC can't handle the NIL era because they were very close to having like 5 playoff teams last year. But the first thing you measure a conference's success by is national championships. And for the Big Ten to win back-to-back national championships, I actually think it would be a good thing for the Big Ten at some point for somebody other than Michigan or Ohio State to win a national title. I'm not saying I'm like rooting for Penn State to win it this year, but it would benefit the conference. Penn State hasn't won a national title since 1986. Nebraska hasn't won a national title since 1995. And then you look at the rest of the conference, USC 2005, Oregon hasn't won one. So that was how the SEC, their strength. They had 5 and 6 programs win the national championship since the start of the BCS era.
I'd be absolutely fine with Penn State winning a national title the year after I die, Bill. What kind of changes do you see in the CFP maybe this year, next year? What do you think is going to be going on with all of that as far as the changes in the way they did it this past season?
Yeah, we've got to go to 16 teams at some point. I'm not a huge fan of how we keep expanding the playoff. I was actually okay with 4. I was probably actually okay with the BCS, but I know we're never going to contract. So moving forward, I think you go 16 teams. I think you play the first 2 rounds on campus. I mean, imagine that. You get 2 home games in the playoff. We've got to start the season earlier. We've got to start the playoffs earlier and compress the schedule a little bit so they're not going head-to-head against the NFL. And then I can't watch Green Bay and Chicago because I'm probably going to be covering a college football first-round game somewhere.
Looking a little bit NFL news, Brock Purdy signing his massive deal that gets done. Does that change the Niners' perspective, view it all with how they structured that, what they did? I mean, how team-friendly is that? Could you break that down a little bit for us?
Yeah, I do. And I think, obviously quarterbacks are getting huge contracts now, and then once you pay the quarterback, you have to be smart with everybody else in who you pay. I think the biggest difference, honestly, with San Francisco is they're a prime candidate for a huge bounce-back season when you look at their schedule, and 2, they had so many injuries last year. They just couldn't withstand that, and they were still competitive. So is Brock Purdy worth that number? Probably not. But I think when you get a quarterback that you like, it's better to kind of brings everything full circle. You could either do what the Niners did, or you could be like the Browns, where you've been searching for this quarterback since 1999. I mean, they haven't had – the only guy that they've had start multiple times, 3 times, not multiple, but 3 or more times in week 1 is Baker Mayfield. And he was gone before his second contract.
Yeah, he'll never make it in the NFL, the Browns said. That's fine. Never be a good quarterback in the NFL. When you look at the 49ers, sticking with them, CMC, Christian McCaffrey, coming off another injury, and he's on the older side now as far as running backs go. When you said bounce back, do you think McCaffrey has a bounce back year, or do you think that we have seen the last of McCaffrey being an effective, reliable back?
Well, I wouldn't write him off, and I think, the pressure for him, not only coming off the injury, but it was such a great year for running backs last year with Saquon and Derrick Henry, and, I'll throw Josh Jacobs in there. He had a monster year for the Packers, and I think with McCaffrey, he's such a key to that offense that, not only do you get Purdy back healthy, having McCaffrey have a monster year. So, when we get into fantasy draft season, if Christian McCaffrey falls down that board, I'm certainly not going to pass up on him.
Yeah, I understand that completely. I guess when you look at the Niners, is this a bounce-back situation for them this year in the NFC? Do you feel like they're back to where they need to get to?
Yeah, and I mentioned the schedule. So they have I believe the AFC South, NFC South on their schedule. And the teams that had that combination last year, you saw the NFC North teams win totals increase. Now, and then you look at the NFC North, so Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, they've got to play. It's my favorite year, when they play the AFC North teams. But that also means it's going to be a tougher year. And again, with San Francisco in that division, obviously the Rams are going to be very good. And then you have the Cardinals and Seahawks, where the Seahawks have a different quarterback plan. And I mean, just some years you have the amount of injuries they had last year. It was just really tough to withstand, and I think they'll bounce back.
Bill Bender, Sporting News, joins us. That was great detective work by you, knowing somehow that I was asking fantasy-related question there on Christian McCaffrey, because I'm in a dynasty league, and I've got to make a decision on that. I don't know how you figured that out, but well done by you. Bill, who has a better chance? Who would you be more surprised if they made the playoffs? Like I said, who would you be more surprised if they made the playoffs this year, the Patriots or the Raiders?
Wow. More surprised probably with New England, but I think Mike Vrabel had a very good draft when you look at how they got the pieces that they can support Drake May with. You get a tackle in Will Campbell. You get Travion Henderson. I thought that was a great value pick. And he even got some special teams guys at the end of that. Pete Carroll and the Raiders, they do have Geno Smith. We've seen him make playoff runs. I guess the problem there is they're definitely the last place team in that division. The Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos are all very good teams. So, I guess it's a really good question. My first instinct would say Raiders, but when you think about the Patriots, they get to play the Jets twice. Who knows? I mean, if 9-8 could get in the playoffs and Mike Vrabel does what he did in Tennessee, they could surprise some people.
It's pretty darn impressive, and yeah, he could do that. It would be interesting to see kind of how they progress up there, especially with Drake May and some of that moving forward. I guess, Bill, what is on the agenda for you as you guys start looking in here? As we're staring at the end of May, as you're beginning to put together some of your feature pieces here throughout the summer.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. We've got a lot of things coming over the summer, more enterprise type pieces. I know this week we'll have our top 25 quarterbacks in college football. We'll have that out Tuesday. And, Bobby, as you know, I was out between my daughter and my son, I was on lacrosse fields from like 9 to 8 in the evening. Yes, it was an amazing day, amazing time. They had a middle school all-star game at Olentangy Orange that Grant got to be a part of. And, man, there are some really good lacrosse players coming through Central Ohio. We had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
I do have a high school fantasy lacrosse league coming up. We can talk about that off the air, about some of the kids I'm going to draft. And now I've got to ask you as we close things up here, Bill, week 1, where is Aaron Rodgers? Is he at home? Is he on a beach? Is he hiding in darkness? Is he with the Steelers?
Unfortunately, I think in week 8 that the Steelers are going to play the Packers, and I'm going to have to relive all the Brett Favre returning against the Packers. I do think that's coming. It's bizarre that it hadn't happened yet. I saw, the rumors about Chris Olave last week. He was going to play for the Steelers, or they were going to trade for him. But if they get a couple pieces, I still think, if you're asking me to predict get inside the mind of Aaron Rodgers,
yes.
I don't know if I can get in there, and 2, I don't know if I would ever get out. But I do think he will return. And if I had to bet, I think he's going to be in a Steelers uniform.
If you got in, Bill, and you came out, you'd be a changed man, that's for sure. Thanks for the time, brother. We'll talk again next week.
Hey, no problem. Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
You bet. That was Bill Bender. Always love talking to him. We always hit him with a variety of topics there, Bob. He is one of the best. Coming up next, hit some quick hitters. Morning Juice.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the
right seat. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
In honor of all those we've lost to cancer and those still fighting and thriving, like basketball analyst and cancer champion Dick Vitale.
I want to beat cancer. I'm going to beat it. That's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to win this battle.
Defeating cancer will take all of us. Join our team to help fund game-changing research that saves lives. At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over the odds. V is for victory over health disparities, victory over setbacks, victory over the unknown. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Donate to the V Foundation to join our team and help save lives.
Cancer can take away all my physical abilities. It cannot touch my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul.
100% of donations fund game-changing cancer research. Donate now to the V Foundation at v.org.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, Teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
Tito has had 2 wives. They've both been named Heather. If you know someone named Heather, please warn her. This is Morning Juice.
Boy, my wife loves that announcement coming back like that. All right, let's do this, Shark. How about some quick hitters?
Morning Juice presents Quick Hitters.
Sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, call Dr. Mark Levy today at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP.
Good morning, Shark.
Good morning, gentlemen. Let me turn you down a little bit there. You know, a few changes could be coming to the NFL, and it may happen as early as next week. Owners will vote on a playoff reseeding proposal and a tush-push ban when they meet in Minneapolis. That is according to our buddy Albert Breer of the MMQB. The playoff reseeding proposal would change matchups for the postseason if it passes. Teams would be seeded based on record at the start of the playoffs. Currently, division winners receive the top 4 seeds in each conference, even if a team theoretically has a record of 8-9. Under the new proposal, Bobby, the seedings would be decided by records. Good thing or bad thing?
Oh, it's tough because I understand where there's been some years where you have a team that's 9-7 or maybe even 9-8 now that wins the division that's bad. And so they get a home game and they, are afforded those luxuries. Sometimes those teams have even won, maybe due to their, like Seattle being the most notable team to take advantage of that. But I think winning your division should still mean something. Like, if not, then why even play the division?
Why have divisions
if
you're just going to seed 1 through 16?
Yeah, if that's not going to matter, I don't think that's if that's not going to matter, then I don't think that you should even have the divisions then anymore. I fail to see what the reasoning for that is, and then you can just go play more teams and experience more of the league.
They're talking about reseeding in the second round sometimes also. Like, instead of doing the first round, if you win your division, you still get a home game. But then after that, if you're 8-9, 9-8, whatever, you're going to play on the road in your second game if you happen to win that first one. So you wouldn't be able to like continue to host. It wouldn't be like your seed would change on that one.
The thing is, the only teams you would be hosting against them would be the other teams that were in the wild card. If you were that bad of a division winner, because the other 3 division winners, you would be on the road with them.
So last year, the Vikings, for instance, they were 14-3, and they had to play at the Rams there. And they're saying the do-over seedings would have had, and that's Vikings would have been the number 2 seed rather than the Eagles. Philadelphia received number 3. And so on. But you know what, Bobby? I'm with you. The divisions need to mean something. Yes, because you don't always know. Just because a team goes 9-8 in their division, if it's a damn tough division, that might be a really good record. Or 10-7 versus like a team going 14-2 and running roughshod over the division of a bunch of weak teams. So yes, the division, you're playing 6 of your games within that division right there. And so if that division is really tough and you come out of that with that kind of record, you should be rewarded. And I'm just I hate reseeding. I'm a bracket traditionalist. I just lay out the bracket. This is who's playing where. If you win this, you play here. That's all there is to it. And I don't want to do the whole reseeding thing.
I don't mind the reseeding after the first round where the best team is always playing the worst team. Like, that doesn't bother me. The NFL is always, at least to my knowledge, has always done it like that.
I don't like it though. I don't like the reseeding. I don't like the reseeding of the home game. I just want to I think that it's
well, the thing is, in the NFL, they want the best team to get there. They want the best team. And so they try to set up their tournament in a way that the best team has the best advantage. And so if there was another upset or something somewhere else, as the best team, you are going to take advantage of that.
Sure.
That's going to help you and not help someone else. Where you see in the NCAA tournament, if a 2 beats a 50 or a 15 beats a 2, well, then all of a sudden you start looking at who was supposed to be playing that 2. Well, that looks a lot better for them now. The NFL doesn't have that. They want the best team to make sure they're taking advantage of the worst. And the way the football is set up where you're playing once a week, you're still able to do that. And so I don't necessarily have I actually like that. That's the one thing that I really do enjoy is the how they reseed it. I just think if you're going to have divisions, you might as well have winning your division meaning something.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert paid more than $500,000 to install fake snow machines at Rocket Arena. That was in reference to the Cavalanche nickname given to the team. The snow machines would be triggered whenever the Cavs went on one of their patented scoring runs. It was used one time during the Cleveland-Miami first-round series, but there were no Cavalanches during the second-round series against Indiana when the Cavs lost all 3 home games. Tito, that is quite an investment for one usage.
Bit surprised you picked that story out for the quick hitters, considering the fact you're a Cavs fan. But, hey, good for you for looking past all of that and putting the story out there. Dan Gilbert, Bobby, that's a lot of money. I know the guy's rich. I know he's rich beyond rich.
$500,000?
$500,000, though, for fake snow?
Listen, man, it's all about effect. He doesn't care. Like, the fake snow in there, like, why not? I mean, honestly, like, I see that, and it's like, okay. I mean, do you know what their salary cap is? Like, half of them,
I know.
You guys would say this, like, and this is the argument I make in the NFL, where people who aren't willing to pay their coaches a little more, or aren't willing to pay their trainers more, or bring in someone else on staff, or have better food like they should in Cincinnati. And you're talking about a salary cap that's $200+ million,
sure.
And $500,000 is literally 0.25% of that.
I get it, but Shark, so I guess it would be, you'd have to do it after the game, right? You get a win.
I don't think you could do it during the game.
You can't do it during the game.
The snow falls on the court.
Right.
I'm saying big cleanup mess.
I was saying, think how ticked off arena workers would be if they launched that right after the game ends and had to clean up that arena with all that fake snow.
I don't think he cares. And I
know he doesn't
those
care.
People are getting paid as well.
I know, but they're not getting paid $500,000 to clean it up.
And maybe they get overtime for cleaning that up. Tito,
would you want to clean up fake snow in a arena?
You mean sweep up water? Like mop water?
Is that what it is? It would evaporate to water? Or is it confetti?
I don't know.
It might be confetti. When you keep saying fake snow.
That's what they call is fake snow. But yeah, I don't know if it's.
Well, what do you think they do after they win? They drop the confetti down anyway.
I understand, but if you did it after every time they had a
I
Cavalanche.
watched them clean that up at the national championship game. It was all cleaned up by the time I walked off the field.
Was it really that fast?
Yeah. They clean it quickly.
Yeah.
They come in there they've got the backpack blowers and everything else. It is a very efficient process.
I'm picturing like 20,000 people with extension cords on their vacuum cleaners.
I don't think
that's
not how it's operated.
Probably not. I remember when the then Indians decided to invest in like $15 million into some improvements in the stadium.
Yeah.
And the fans up in Cleveland, as they always do, complained. And they were complaining about why doesn't ownership put that $15 million into the team? Mark Shapiro was the president at the time. He said, that'll get you a backup utility man. I don't think people realize the difference between salaries and, stadium improvements. Basically what Bob is saying, $500,000 for Danny Gilbert means nothing.
It's like buying a pack of gum. I mean, that's an impulse buy.
What's he do with this fake snow? They just hold on to it for next year?
Oh, yeah. Why do you keep them? They're invested. The Cavalanche isn't going anywhere. You have them. There's an investment, and it's for the fan experience. That's what they want. You want people to want to go to your games.
We should get that in here on Fridays.
Coach, listen, the bar has been set so low that the fact that we have everything functionally working right now is a win. So before we do anything else, let's just focus on operations.
College football's Power Four has its haves and have-nots. The Big Ten and SEC are the haves. The ACC and Big 12 are the have-nots. But maybe not. The ACC generated $711 million for the academic year that ended in 2024. That means that each of the 14 schools in the league received an average of $45 million. That is a record for the ACC. However, those financial numbers are from a year ago before SMU, Stanford, and Cal joined the league. Just for comparison's sake, the SEC gave $53 million to each of its schools for the same academic year. $53 million for the SEC, $45 million for the ACC. The Big Ten doled out $62.8 million for each of its 14 members. That, of course, was before UCLA, USC, Washington, and Oregon joined the conference. In any event, Bob, maybe the ACC isn't hurting as badly as we thought.
What year was that for?
2024.
Okay.
So before Cal and SMU and Stanford.
The thing is, so that was for their TV contracts?
Yeah. The total revenue, I don't know what generates revenue league-wide other than the TV package, but it was, $711 million.
It is, but the TV package, so you said that's not including the TV package.
No, I'm sure that is the TV package.
Okay.
I don't know if there's other
ancillary revenues.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing, also with that, is then they're going to get additional shares and things for the college football playoff that wouldn't have been factored into that, that's how they do that. So the Big Ten had the most of that they were going to be able to spread around everybody. So that's another couple $1 million. I think Tony Petitti was telling me at the national championship game. And you start looking at other little ancillary things, and it's not the fact that, hey, it's somewhat close. There's still probably a $15 million gap or maybe more, but it's that $15 million gap every year. So it's not a one-off. Like, if you're going to operate with that, you have got to find a way to recreate those dollars every single year by getting someone to donate them or recreate them or whatever it is, and it's not easy.
Bobby, do you think that the ACC and Big 12 are very concerned or mildly concerned about being swept up or being left in the dust by the Big 10 and SEC?
Oh, I think that there's always probably an overarching concern of what that looks like and how everything looks, and that's why as they trying to navigate the playoff expansion, how do they play into that? Because after this year, the Big Ten and SEC can basically unilaterally do what they want to do with it anyway. So they're trying to figure out how do they probably play as nice as they can in the sandbox and hope that maybe there's some level of government oversight and so that they aren't completely left out, because you want to make sure that you have a champion that's inclusive of everybody, but in the same sense, are you going to be able to compete at that level on a consistent basis? Now, they have some teams that do. Will Clemson, is Clemson long for the ACC?
Right.
There's questions about the viability of some of that moving forward, and so we'll see how that ultimately looks.
Yeah, I think that the fact that the ACC and Big 12, it appears have both agreed with the framework of 4 Big Ten teams getting in, 4 SEC teams, it expands and all of that, and they only get 2 guaranteed spots, ACC and Big 12. The fact that they seem to have agreed to that option just tells me that they know what's inevitable, they know what's coming, and they better just take whatever they can get.
Bob, when we had 4 home teams in the playoffs this year, including Ohio State hosting Tennessee, I know Ohio State didn't control that.
No.
I'm guessing they got parking concessions.
Yeah, parking concessions, then you get some dollars, I think, to operate the game.
But was that split 18 ways?
I think the home...
Didn't the Big Ten host 3 of the 4 first-round games?
I think Indiana, Ohio State, and
Penn
State.
Yeah, I think that they got to keep all of that revenue independently. Now, moving forward, when they went to the road, I think they got parking and concessions and things. The TV dollars that were generated out of it, I think that then that got split up. And the way Tony Petitti explained it to me is that every game that was played, there's 2 shares that go in, and then those shares are allocated to the league and the leagues and conferences, and however the conferences do it, that's between them. But yes, Ohio State moving forward then only got travel expenses and operations. They were able to make some money off of it.
The steroid era in baseball ended years ago, but there are still a few guys who try to buck the system. Phillies reliever Jose Alvarado has been suspended 80 games without pay for violating baseball's drug policy. He tested positive for exogenous testosterone, a performing-enhancing substance. It means that Alvarado is going to miss half a season, but can return in late August. However, Tito, by rule, Alvarado is going to be ineligible for the playoffs if the Phillies make it this fall.
He was leading the Phillies with 7 saves and have a great start to a season this year. But I love the fact that baseball does this ineligible for postseason thing. I do. I think it's really, I wish it would be, maybe it is a deterrent. I shouldn't say it's always a deterrent because people are still getting busted. Somebody last year got busted, right, Shark?
I mean, it's 50 games, a third of the season, not a deterrent.
80 games.
Or 80.
He got 80.
Half the season, yeah.
Was it the second one then?
No.
The first one's 80.
Didn't it used to be 50 and 100?
I think in the old policy it was.
And I think now it's 80 in the whole season.
Third was a lifetime ban.
Yeah, third's lifetime, I think.
But according to his agent, he was on a weight loss program during the offseason and had some performance-enhancing substances. He didn't know what he was doing, Bob.
Of course, no one ever does.
He was not guilty.
No, it was somebody else didn't tell him it's what it was. That's the whole problem. Yes, he was innocent. But I love the fact, though, I don't know how you feel about it, but I love the fact that they can't play in postseason. They get suspended.
My thing is, then just suspend them for the whole year.
I wonder if they had to probably negotiate it. They had to probably negotiate.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
So then, you're suspending them 80 games? They can come back and play, and then not play in the postseason.
Yeah, there was somebody last year. Who was Shark? There was a prominent player last year.
That to me is dumb. Like I don't. Why is your suspension not concurrent? Just run it the whole way. Then suspend them 100. Suspend them the whole season. That's fine. But why suspend 80 games and then you come back? But then so you served your suspension unless you're on a good team.
Yeah,
I mean that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
That's a good point.
You served your time served unless your team is good.
Yeah.
So you're getting punished again for being on a good team.
Maybe get punished in July, and then you can't come back anyway.
And that's
part of next season then too. Also.
Yeah. Like if I'm a team, then I'm like, this is the most. It penalizes. If I was one of the teams, I would never have agreed to this because if you're the Yankee, you're a team that expects to be in the postseason every year. Your guy is going to be punished more significantly than anyone else.
That's fair, Bobby. That's a good point.
It's logical. Like
I love arguing with you and saying, you know what? That's a great point there, Bobby.
Like you can love it. Like, well, you can't play. I'm like, well, then you're getting punished more for being on a better team.
Yeah.
If you want to say the guy can play and maybe doesn't get paid in the playoffs or something like that, that's fine. But why are you going to punish the rest of his teammates then more in his organization?
It's like the debate in old school. When at the end of the debate, that's
my
exactly
solution:
right.
don't juice.
That's a good one too.
If you want to suspend him the rest of the year, that's fine. I have no problem with that. And I'm not saying that the steroid era, which has gone on, and everybody was juicing that anyway, Shark. We can get into that conversation if you want, but
not really interested, Bob.
Just keep them, just suspend them the rest of the season.
It's a good call, Bob. Yeah. Coming up next, top of the hour here, an NFL team doled out some big money to QB. Will there be buyer's remorse at some point? We'll do that next. Morning Juice.
It's been a real journey since 2014 when I first had my injury. I realized that my home was just not working for me and that it was time to ask for help. Homes for Our Troops is really giving me my life back. The shower allows me to go in and turn around with my chair, pull down storage racks, automated door systems, hours of my morning given back to me. Adaptive sports are a huge part of my life, a huge part of my healing journey as well. Homes for Our Troops helped with making sure that I had a home gym so that I can continue to train. This past year, I was able to host Thanksgiving in my home. And it was the first time I was able to have my whole family in one place and I was able to contribute to the meal. There are a lot more veterans in need, and Homes for Our Troops is going to be there to help them too.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
I'm a wife and the mother of 2 kids, and I've got a good job.
Bye, Mom. See you, Mom.
A pretty important job. Because of my family and my job, I really care about this neighborhood. It's a good neighborhood. Yes, there's some crime. And when I drive to work, like now, I realize that some people here don't trust the police. So the police should be reaching out to this community, and this community should reach out to the police. That's the way to make this a safer place. And when I get to work in the precinct house and put on my uniform, I can tell you as a police officer that this department is reaching out to the community, and the community is doing its part. We're building partnerships. This should be happening everywhere. This is how we can all be safer. Get involved. Start the conversation.
Start the conversation and help stop crime. To learn the 5 things you can do, go to ncpc.org/prevent violent crime. A message from the National Crime Prevention Council and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
While serving in Vietnam, a grenade took my ability to see. Today, I'm a sculptor. Now, my fingers are my eyes. I'm Michael Naranjo. As a veteran, I know the challenges of life can be great. In my art, turning a lump of clay into something beautiful, that is worth doing. Life is like that. We each must use what we can to make things better.
DAV helps veterans like Michael get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year in life-changing ways.
Now, I show others how they can create something with their own hands. I know it can do a lot of good. With support from DAV, more veterans can shape their lives into a thing of beauty. My victory is bringing beauty into the world.
Michael Naranjo, may your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Proud to be your go-to sports addiction.
WBNS, WBNS FM, HD3 Columbus.
The Fan 3, Ohio sports destination. Tito invited the new Russian family who moved in down the street to watch Rocky IV. It did not go well. I must break you. This is Morning Juice.
All right, Morning Juice. Second hour of the program. Thanks to all chiming in on the chat. Appreciate that. Always love having the loyal listeners, followers, watchers, all of that on there. Bobby, Brock Purdy, we talked about it with Bill Bender briefly, but signed a 4-year, $265 million contract with the 49ers. I think $180 million plus guaranteed. Also features a no-trade clause. Not that it matters. It's tough to trade a quarterback on that big of a contract in the first place with all the various kind of salary cap hits you have to take, dead money and whatnot that's associated with that. I am of the belief that Brock Purdy can be a good quarterback on a great team, but he cannot make a team great. I think that Shanahan can work a lot of magic with quarterbacks. I think he has to have healthy weapons around him to be successful. I can't see Brock Purdy carrying a team, and this feels like carry a team money.
I don't think it's carry a team money. Not because he had 1 year left, and so I'm sure they're pushing some of these dollars around.
Right.
And on an APV, like they talk about the new money, his agents, they're going to obviously push for it to make it look the very best that it can. But I'm guessing some of that's pushed into this year. So really it's like a 5-year, $265 million deal, 180 guaranteed. And so I don't think that that's going to be 180 guaranteed. So that's probably 3.5 years. That deal is going to be guaranteed. Essentially, I don't think it's something that's going to be punitive to them.
Right.
And I think what you're saying of Brock Purdy's probably accurate. But I then ask you, because people will say, he's not good enough to make other teams great or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, they should be able to get anybody to play quarterback for San Francisco then.
Like a Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Garoppolo would have success there. I don't think
Garoppolo did have success.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think I'd have to pay him 4 years, $265.
They paid Garoppolo a lot.
They did, but
they paid him. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Don't confuse. Garoppolo was getting near top of the market dollars when he was there in San Francisco too.
Was he getting near top of the market then?
Yeah, this isn't top of the market dollars.
No, I know it's in top. This is more like, this is probably like top 10, top 12 money, I think, for quarterbacks.
Jimmy Garoppolo, I guarantee you, was getting that.
I think that, though, but I just don't. I don't know. I think that there's I think there could have been other options. Like if I'm the Niners, I would try to sign him to a shorter deal. He might not take it anyway, but a shorter deal for big money maybe, and then still try to draft a quarterback and develop one. Because I think
that's what he was.
That's what he was. I realize that. Yeah, but I'm saying
I would have 7th round.
Mr. Relevant, last pick in the draft. I would though continue to try that method. Not necessarily take the last pick in the round, be a quarterback you can count on, but start developing quarterbacks though. Get them on a rookie contract, and then get out from underneath some of these other ones. Like I said, I think Purdy's never been confused for Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or Jordan Love or anybody like that. He's never going to be in that realm. So that's why
he's also not getting paid like that.
He's not getting paid like that, no. But
where are you going to get those guys? Like, you have to draft them and hope.
You have to draft them, yes. You have to draft them, develop them.
And I'm sure they are going to continue to draft quarterbacks. And if there's a time where they think someone else can supersede and be better than him, my thing is, people always say that they can bring anybody in there and do it. And I go, but can you bring anybody in there and do it well? And like, well, he's not the most talented guy.
Right.
And he might not make other teams better. But with what they're asking him to do, he's really good at that.
He's good at that system. He's good at what Shanahan needs him to do.
That's my point, and not everybody is.
But do you think now that they've lost look, if McCaffrey last year had his injuries and they couldn't overcome that, and now you've got, you lost what? Debo's gone, right? Debo's to Washington.
Well, Debo is getting older, and he was on a more of a steep decline than probably anyone else on that roster.
I just don't.
And maybe he plays a couple more really good years. I'm not saying he's a bum or he's washed up, but with how he plays and what they ask him to do, he probably wouldn't have had a long runway to continue to operate at that high level.
That's fair. I saw a couple years left maybe for Debo where he could be really good, but that's why I just don't know. Like,
they just drafted a wide receiver in the first round last year?
Do you think that this? So you think like 3 years in,
both of their receivers are first round draft picks. They just gave what's-his-name a new contract last year.
Right.
So, like, they still have Christian McCaffrey. They just re-upped, their tight end.
Oh, Kittle?
They just re-upped Kittle. So, weapons-wise, they've got everything back. Now, granted, like I said, they're all a year older.
Right.
But that's always going to be the case. And so you're always going to have to continue to draft and try to replenish those guys.
Can I digress, you guys, for a minute?
Go for it.
Go ahead. 2018, Garoppolo signed a 5-year deal with the 49ers. The highest paid quarterback in the NFL that year, Aaron Rodgers, $33.5 million.
Yeah.
Times have changed a lot since then. 7 years ago. Matt Ryan was second, $30 million a year. Kirk Cousins third at $28 million a year. Jimmy Garoppolo fourth, $27.5 million.
That's what I'm saying.
He had a 5-year deal on that one?
5-year deal. And Matty Stafford was fifth at $27 million. So basically double those numbers.
Yeah.
And that's what the going rate is in 2025. But, yeah, Garoppolo was a top 5 paid quarterback 7 years ago.
And I think Jimmy's better than
Brock.
And he's getting paid probably more like top 10 money as opposed to top 5 money. So they are taking, you are getting a discount. You're not paying that extra 15% at the top that you can then allocate to other players.
When it comes to almost every position in the NFL except quarterback, I think you're operating on a 2 or 3 year window, being for the most part. Now, there's some exceptions to the rule, but that I think you are operating a 2 or 3 year window to really have success with everyone healthy and in their primes kind of thing. That's what you want to try to do. And I don't think in the next 2 or 3 years, it would not surprise 3 years from now if the 49ers regret giving Purdy that big contract. I don't know if he'll live up to that or not.
Well, live up to what, being like the 10th to 12th best quarterback in the league?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that'll be fairly easy based
You think so?
Yeah. Based upon their offense and what they do. I mean, part of it's the system.
Right.
And part of it's the fact that they've got good players. They've drafted well. So if they draft like crap and they can't build anything around them, but Kittle's going to have another 3 years. He's going to be able to play fine. You look at their wide receiver situation. Brandon Ayuk, they just re-signed, and he's coming to his 5th or 6th year. 6th year, I think. They drafted Ricky Pearsall 2 years ago, first round.
That's
over
who it was,
one. I mean, they've got players, they continue to retool their roster. They draft pretty well. Trent Williams is still there. Now they're going to have to eventually replace him. There's going to be some guys they have to replace, but as long as their offensive line, the way they block and what they do, you don't need to necessarily have the craziest best guys in the world. And defensively, that's where they're going to have to probably work to keep that defensive line where they need it to be. Continue to bring guys in and develop guys. But they just drafted Mikael Williams in the first round to be opposite of Nick Bosa to keep that defensive line intact. So, as long as these guys that they're hitting on are really good, then they'll be fine.
When you look at the quarterbacks that get a lot of credit for being offensive geniuses, Shanahan's up there, McVay's up there. Is there any I feel like McVay and Shanahan could probably get good quarterback play out of whoever.
Well, who's up at
Cleveland? Stefanski.
That's a good call.
Who is in Minnesota?
McConnell.
Not John McConnell.
No.
John McConnell owns the Blue Jackets.
He was the quarterback at San Diego State when we played him.
He's when he played. He played 1 year under Brady, didn't he? He played like he was a backup to Brady 1 year, I think.
Yeah.
That just goes to show you how nondescript NFL coaches are. But yeah, I remember hearing an interview with the guy where he's
Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell.
What did I say?
You said McConnell.
Oh, O'Connell, McConnell. They're all Irish.
That's right. They're all the same.
Now we're profiling.
Lump them together, Shark. I like that.
O'Shea Jackson's not Irish.
Okay. But all of those guys run a similar system.
Yeah.
With what they ask their quarterbacks to do, how they operate, getting the ball out of their hand, the way they run it. They're all from the same tree, and so there's similarities there with how they are able to do it. That's why O'Connell, they brought in Darnold after he left San Francisco as a backup and had some success. And now, where did he just go?
He's in Seattle now.
He's in Seattle,
replacing Geno Smith. That's another guy you look at now. Do you expect, I feel like last year is the best year Darnold will ever have in his career.
Yeah, Pro Bowl receivers. He had really good talent
Justin
around him.
Jefferson, Jordan Addison out there. He had Hawkinson, good running game.
He had really good. But they were ready to move on from him.
Right.
And so what's he supposed to do? He really went and got good money from Seattle. And Seattle, I think, is building their stuff a little bit differently. And so will he be able to make that adjustment? But everybody always wants to look at Brock Purdy and what he's not. That's true. Can he throw the ball as far, as whoever? Is he as athletic as whoever? Can he do all this? No, he's just really efficient and good at his job. And he's really good in what they ask him to do. There are other guys that are more talented that, despite the fact that they have more ability, would not be as good or efficient because they cannot stay disciplined. And they don't maybe see it as well. And so all of those things factor in.
Let me ask you this. And I know it's off the beaten path a little bit. And I'm not saying...
That's where you live, is in the woods that often.
I understand that. Is it like a Krenzel
when they say
thing?
Beaten path, what does that mean?
I think off the one that everyone else usually goes on.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what type of beaten you were talking about.
No, the beating,
if you were in the woods
beating path was from a darker part in my life there, my Fight Club days. But... where I was taking a beating. Bobby, is it like a Krenzel thing? Krenzel was great for your team, right?
I mean, he did what he needed to do to win games.
Wasn't outstanding, made some big plays, obviously, but he was a great, and I know this is a phrase that gets thrown around, game manager. Is that what Purdy is?
I mean, people say that as if it's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think that's a knock.
I mean, Craig rushed 21 times for 80-some yards in the national championship.
Is that all he had? All the game? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All probably with a concussion, I would add. Made big throws when he needed to. Did what he had to do. There are people that are incapable of that despite being more talented. They just can't do it. I've been around guys like that where they're very talented, they're very gifted, and by all measurables and metrics, they should be better than what they are, and they're not. So I don't know what to tell you about that. And they're like, well, I'd rather have this guy. I'm like, would you? You say you would. Their top end is better, but they don't give it to you very often, and their bottom end is much worse. And so Brock Purdy gives you a much more pure sample size. When you watch him play 5 plays, that's probably what you're seeing the whole game. Other guys, you may see 5 terrible ones, or if you catch his 5 best, you're thinking that guy's a Hall of Famer.
That's Jeff George for you right there.
100%. Jeff George can throw the ball harder than anyone else that probably ever played in the NFL. Jeff George was not a great quarterback.
No. It feels like Purdy's ceiling is lower than the top quarterbacks, but his floor is higher.
It's much higher
than the bottom quarterbacks. It'll be interesting to see what Minnesota does too this year. Yes, when you're turning the reins over to J.J. McCarthy, you don't re-up with Sam Darnold. He goes to Seattle. It'll be interesting to see how both those situations play out. And it's a test, I think, to O'Connell's methods. If he can get McCarthy to play well after sitting out that whole first year, which may have been good for him anyway.
Yeah, I think they would have probably ideally wanted to have that happen anyway.
Yeah, it used to be a time when they would say, okay, you're going to sit a year or two, whatever, and learn. And, like when Rodgers with the Packers and things like that. But anymore, they don't give you that time unless you get hurt.
Yeah, but there's situations where that's happened. There's times where guys play right away and they're really good. There's times where guys play right away and they're ruined. There's times where guys come in and sit. And the sitting was great. Pat Mahomes didn't play it all his first year.
Right, he played the last game, right? Because Smith, they waited till the last game of the season. They put him in there for Alex Smith.
Yeah, and he's turned out okay.
He's did all right.
So that's my point. Is it's just the process for how you want to do it and how coaches want to operate with it, it varies, and there's some personal elements to it and how that's going to work.
Could Andy Reid do that type of thing with?
Andy Reid's had a lot of different quarterbacks that have all been pretty functional.
He has been, yeah. And
because he knows, here's the thing, some of it's just knowing what to look for in the guise of what you have in your system. Some people want all of these different things. It's like buying a car. It's my parents buying a TV. Well, this does this and this. Do you ever do that, though? What do you need that for? Why are you paying for these other features that you don't know how to use? So it's like people buy a truck. Oh, this thing will climb a mountain. Dude, you live in Oklahoma. How many mountains are you going to be climbing? You work in an office job. You don't even own a pair of boots. Why would you think you would need a vehicle that could climb a mountain?
That's always funny. You're right, yes.
Like, so you're going to pay for something you're never using.
Yeah.
As opposed to, why don't you get something that's efficient that fits within the life that you live?
Right.
I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I think I can figure that out.
It's like that arm muscle thing with me when I was getting my golf stuff ready. I felt a muscle I never felt before when I was doing a warm-up and realized that's a muscle I never needed or never used, but probably I should have needed because it would have made a golf game better. But, yeah, that's what that's like. I
Like you say, muscle you never needed or never used before. Like, it's always been there. Your inactivity has led to marbling and atrophy among some of your.
First of all, I don't think it's atrophy. No,
What do you think a muscle is that hasn't been used? It's atrophy.
I think it's fresh.
That's fresh. That fresh is true when you're young. As you get older, it's called atrophy.
It's midlife. I lived 106, probably 108, maybe. So it's going to be midlife for me right now. No, but it's not atrophy. If it's not just something I never felt
I'm
before.
Lucky to watch. I'm hoping that you see your son graduate high school. That's the goal for you.
I think we've already had that discussion, my wife and I've already told her I don't want a fancy urn when she walks.
Don't worry. We'll get you a Folgers can like in The Big Lebowski.
I never saw that movie, but that sounds like a great idea.
It's good. Just let it be known that'll
That's
be
fine.
the ending.
We can do that. All right, make sure you stick around, folks. We're having a discussion with me being in a Folgers coffee can. Coming up next, in 1961, JFK was president. There were 14 NFL teams, 8 AFL teams, and cable television was in its infancy. Yet that era is still determining when you can watch football. We'll do that next. Morning Juice.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. I know firsthand what it's like to battle through joint pain. After years of the hard hits and the wear and tear on the field, I thought pain, it was just going to be something I had to live with. Let me tell you, that's no longer the case thanks to QC Kinetics. For over 8 years, QC Kinetics has been leading the charge nationwide in non-surgical joint pain relief, helping over 50,000 patients get back to doing what they love, pain-free. Whether it's your knees, back, hips, shoulders, you pick it. If joint pain's been slowing you down, you need to hear about what Dr. Aaron Walkoff and his team in Columbus are doing. They're using cutting-edge regenerative medicine, natural biologic treatments with powerful healing properties to repair and restore damaged joint tissue. No surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Just real results. The kind of treatment I wish I had access to during my playing days, and now you do. Imagine this summer playing around a golf, chasing the kids, and just enjoying a walk without the pain. Go to qckinetics.com/Columbus or call 380-2845-44. They now have offices in Grove City and Canal Winchester.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
America's hunters and target shooters, along with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, have invested more than $46 billion to help state fish and wildlife agencies manage and protect wildlife and wildlands across America. For more information, visit Outdoors.
for your daughter.
Bobby is known as the General. Tito shops at Dollar General. This is Morning Juice.
Morning Juice. I think the only thing that Bobby dislikes more than hearing Shark and I talk about baseball from the 60s and 70s is us talking about cable television in the 70s, Bobby.
That's fine. I never had cable until my parents they never even got cable. They got it DirecTV when I got drafted in 2006. Actually, so I could watch the draft on ESPN, and then I went to Dallas, and my dad goes, "You pay all this money for the Sunday ticket, and 11 or 12 of your games are on TV anyway here. So what the heck are we even paying for?"
So did he cancel it?
No,
and miss 5-year games?
No,
4
they
games?
had it. They kept it mostly when I came back, so I could watch all the other stuff and be around them. So my youngest brother got to enjoy the fruits of that, but I did not. Speaking of atrophy, I was going to figure out how to work this in today.
Oh, good.
Because I got in an argument. My wife and I, we went with some friends in our family. We had like 16 people go to a hibachi grill, like a Japanese steakhouse on Saturday night. Ate some of the food. I used to go there and get like the most I could and eat all of it. And I'm not at that point in my life. So I take a lot of it home now and let my oldest son, RJ, just,
devour it. It's a trash compactor.
You need to consume like 8,000 calories, get to work. And so then afterwards we went back. I was watching some of these Bill Burr skits that he was putting off about eating Oreos. He's like, tell his wife, don't put the Oreos in the house. Like, I'll eat a whole sleeve, which is like, and like, that's what I'll do. So I tell her, don't buy this crap. I don't want it around. If it's there, I'll eat it, especially after I've been drinking. Not during the week, but usually on the weekends. And she's like, well, can't you just eat a couple? I'm like, no, I'll eat a whole sleeve, just like Bill Burr.
It is, yeah.
He's like, I've never tried heroin, but if you leave it in the house, it's like after a conversation with my dad, I might say, hey, let's see what everybody's talking about. Right. Give this a whirl. I was like, Bill, that's an amazing line as he's talking about it. But so I got a brownie. We went to our neighbors, have a drink afterwards, and they always have sweets all the time. So
is it a brownie or brownie in air quotes?
No, it was a brownie.
Okay.
They got it from whatever pizza place they had pizzas. Okay. They had like a little pizza brownie tray and had some other stuff. And so I'll nibble on some of their sweets. And my wife made the comment, like, oh, you're going to eat a brownie after eating that? I'm like, who are you to judge me on this? And they're like, and I don't even know how else. I go, I'm going to go run tomorrow. I'm going to go work, and I'll be fine. I did. I went and ran. I go down to Jones. I'll run at the track after the soccer game.
Yeah.
And somehow in that point, like, well, how fast do you run? Whatever. I go, I guarantee I could run a sub 6:30 mile. And they're like, no, you couldn't.
What?
Yeah.
Can you really?
I'll show you the I put it down.
Tito,
so I went there after about 2 bottles of wine and about 3 or 4 mixed drinks and watching a soccer game. I got to the track at about 10, I don't know, it was like 11 or something. 30-second warm up, hopped out there, and I took a picture of my watch. And she like, where do you run it? On the track? I'm like, yeah, so that you can count the laps. This isn't some arbitrary distance that you think you've set and I can run it downhill. It's not on a treadmill, which is easier to do. I could run probably close to 6 on a treadmill. But I got it, and I sent him the stinking time, 6:25. I go, I still had a little bit of gas left in the tank. I probably could have got it to 6:15 if I needed to.
But you were numb. You were inebriated.
Wasn't inebriated. Well, yeah.
Was it the inside one? Because the inside one's the shortest one.
Well, no kidding.
That's why they stagger it.
That's 1 mile.
So they even have on your watch, you can put, it says you're on a track, and they can put the lane down. I had to do that so that they would be truth and proof of that.
Right.
That I was able to do.
How old are you? 40?
I'll be 42 in August.
42. Man, a sub 6:30.
I bet I could go 6 if I really needed to train for it. I mean, the second lap, whenever I work out after I drink, I usually, before I start to really sweat a lot, there's about a 1 to 2 minute period where I start to get really cold and have like the shakes. And that was happening on the second lap, and it was not feeling good. But once I completed that second lap, then I started sweating profusely and feeling a lot better and was able to kind of pick that up a little bit.
All right, so then we'd like to see you run a second mile under 7.
Back consecutively?
Yeah,
I could probably run 2 in 14.
With pads.
That's
And cleats.
With cleats. Why would I be wearing cleats on the track?
If
you could explain
football
that,
speed.
If you could explain,
want to see you run a football.
Bob, we used to have to do that when it was a cinder track.
Yeah.
You'd wear
back
spikes.
when I was a kid.
You
back
would
when you
wear
were a kid.
spikes, not cleats. There is a
So
difference.
anyway, you started talking. You began the segment with speaking of atrophy.
Atrophy, and so that's why I said I forget who told me this. It was someone who was older, like my rookie. It may have been. Oh, I know exactly who it was. It was Brad Johnson. And he was in like his 14th year when I was in my third.
Super Bowl champion
Brad Johnson.
Brock Purdy. Go ahead.
Brock Purdy-esque Brad Johnson. You know what? And he always said it's tough to go broke when you're always making a profit.
Sure it is, yeah.
So he goes, I'll hit that check down all day, coach. Because everybody wants to talk about this. He goes, you'll never catch me in a 3rd and 10. He's like, we're gonna get that ball moving forward. Which ironically, I was watching Bill Belichick in this interview and like what Tom Brady did really well, and he was like, he moved the ball forward. He didn't get us in a lot of negative yardage plays.
Game manager, Tom Brady.
That's what he said. He goes, he got the ball. He goes, number one, we can't get yards till you get rid of the football, whether that's a handoff or whether that's a pass. So he's like, he got the ball out of his hands, and then he always was making sure the ball was going forward. And so we didn't see a lot of 3rd and 14s because those are really hard to pick up, and that's when you make a lot of mistakes. And so talking about atrophy, that's what Brad Johnson would tell me, he said it's better to stay ready than to get ready. And so he goes, once you let things slide, he goes, some of those things, they've ridden a slide so far down, you're not going to be able to get them back. So I've always tried to live my life with that mantra.
The hell was that? Shark looked at me and nodded his head like you.
I'm just, because you let that muscle that you didn't use atrophy, and
no, but
just
I felt
because
it, though.
Because you're 55 years old.
54, but that's okay.
54 years old, you shouldn't do that. Work those muscles, Tito.
Thank
look
you,
at me.
Shark. Yeah, look at you. You're right. I apologize.
I'm a picture of fitness.
We have to tell you to put your shirt on when the cameras come on in here. That's how fit you are. By the way, Bobby, the anniversary on Saturday, I got to share with Schlegel.
What was that?
And I texted him, which I never do, like outside of work stuff like
was
this.
that the 17th?
Saturday, was the 11-year anniversary of when there was that 97-day challenge, fit challenge the fan did at one point. And
what happened to those days?
They had to work out at with Schlegs.
Oh, is that when we did that?
That was when I cried. And I told him that's the last time a man made me cry was 11 years ago Saturday.
May 17th, 2013.
11 years, 14, yeah. Yeah. That was what last time and Schlegs just responded with the ha-ha kind of thing.
Did you cry?
When he sent it?
No, on the anniversary. Just
no,
remembering it.
I didn't. No, I tried to find other muscles I hadn't used since then.
Do you think you're in better shape in 2025 than you were in 2014?
That's a good question. I think maybe
I am.
He's thinner. I don't know if cardiovascular.
I don't know, but yeah, I think that cardiovascular there's no way in hell. But yeah, I think maybe so. Okay, so Bobby, what did I tease? Oh yes, this whole thing with the
JFK.
Yes, the JFK thing I talked about earlier. But it was the act.
Happy
the Sports
birthday,
Broadcasting Act of 1961
That's
became
right.
a law.
When Marilyn Monroe told him happy birthday.
Became a law on September 30th, 1961, where they had restrictions on when the NFL could and could not play.
After second Saturday. Didn't I read this off last week?
You might have. I want to get into this a little more, though, because I saw this, though, where, it's
what gave them their
antitrust
exemption so they could collectively pool all of the teams and negotiate with the league-wide partners as opposed to doing it regionally.
It was much easier to pull off in 1961 because, like we said, the infancy of cable television.
Was it? Why do you think it was? You're saying that as a statement of fact.
I'm saying I believe it was. Let me tell you why, Bobby. The NFL started the regular season on September 17th. Okay. They had 3 Saturday games, 2 Thursday games, almost on Thanksgiving, and the championship was played December 31st. A much more compact season, a much more regional as far as the only being 14 teams, and the fact that you didn't have 32 teams spread across. Now there were 8 AFL games. They started their season September 9th. They played 3 Friday games, a game on Thanksgiving. They were done with their championship on December 24th. Ohio State's first game that year was September 30th, last game November 25th. So now the way they start the seasons and how they do it, and the fact that there are still restrictions. Now they get around the Black Friday thing because
it's streaming.
Well, it's streaming, but also because it usually starts at 3 o'clock and it ends like around 6, you know, in theory is when it will. That's how they get around that.
Because they can't have they can't have the Friday evenings.
Right. And so there's all these different rules are in place, Bobby, and I find it seems silly to me to still go by those kinds of rules. I am of the belief, because look, the MAC, they play games on Tuesdays now. There's no restrictions on that.
There's
right?
never been restrictions on college football.
I understand. That's what I'm saying.
They didn't get the antitrust exemption. They tried to do it. It's outlined on the Wikipedia page stuff if you read it.
Yeah, I read it. I understand that's why they did it. I'm saying that the rules are out the window as far as like you can play any day. I don't care. I don't care if they play NFL every Friday night, Bobby. That doesn't bother me if they have an NFL game every Friday night. I know people talk about the sacred the sacred part of football, high school football, and all that, and how there should be no college, no NFL on Friday nights. And I say, there's people that don't care about high school football as much. You might have a kid there.
There's places in the country that's the case.
Right. And so why are they being held like you can't watch NFL or college that or whatever. You can't watch NFL that night. Why? Because it's high school football night. That's why. It doesn't make any sense to me, Bob. I don't know why this is since 1961. How many things have changed since 1961? And we've still got these archaic rules in place. Show what you want when you want. I mean, not R-rated movies. We talked about that last week. But if you want to show sports.
I thought you were talking about Full Exposure.
Okay, yes. I haven't seen that movie either. But if you want to play.
Make a new one.
No, the updated version.
Whatever you want to do. The world is your oyster.
The NFL, though, if they want to play games on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I don't care. Let us make our choice if we choose to watch or not, Bobby.
So, I'm a big believer in freedom of choice. However, when you're granted an antitrust exemption by the federal government, then there's certain other protections that are going to need to be put in place because you're afforded an opportunity that no one else is. You do realize that, correct?
Yeah, I do realize that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, okay. I get that part of it.
We just talked about how last week Standard Oil was broken up by the Sherman Antitrust Act. Mm-hmm. And if they wanted to lean in, they could say, you can't do this anymore, and you'll have to go back to all regional stuff. And you said that it was probably easier to get all this assimilated back then. And I would argue that it would have been probably more difficult to be able to get that back then because if there's 14 teams and I'm Wellington Mara, what is my incentive to want to pool my rights with someone out in Kansas City?
The incentive to do that? I guess I'm
in New York.
Right. Okay.
I could have been the Yankees if I wanted to.
When I say it's easier, I mean from the standpoint of the NFL is not broadcasting 16 games a week. At that point, they're doing 7.
Yeah.
And so.
But they could have been broadcasting them all regionally.
They could have at that point. Yes, I understand 61 was a smaller thing, and college football was more popular back then.
They could still broadcast them all independently anyway.
They could.
And then they could have done regionality. The greatness of the NFL, and this is why it's the most successful league outside of the fact that the sport is more conducive to people's consumption habits now than baseball is. But the reason why is that some of the owners in the larger markets took less and understood that it was for the good of the growth of the whole game. And in doing that, were able to have a lot of success. And so they did that. They ended up horse trading to get this deal worked out so they could have the antitrust exemption. They added the Saints in there with it, made some concessions so they wouldn't go against college football, which it's turned out for them that it's the greatest thing for. And this is what I'm telling you, Thidoff, is you say, why do I care? Well, where do the best athletes in the United States, where do they play?
Where do the best athletes play?
Yeah, where are the best native-born, what sport do they play?
Probably football.
No, it's not probably. It is.
Okay.
And there's a reason why the league is overwhelmingly American and it's not played in other places. And it still has a rich talent pool to pull from.
Sure.
And the reason it has that is because those kids still play the sport. And so if you start diminishing the importance of the growth of the sport, why do you think the NFL invests in the heads-up tackle and all that stuff?
But Bobby,
you think they're idiots?
Do you think the NFL...
They're not altruistic. They don't just want to give away money. They don't want to give away anything.
Do you think if the NFL played a game every Friday night, it would diminish the number of kids that play high school football?
It would.
You do?
100% it would.
See, I don't think it would. I don't think that would that just playing that game. I think that game caters to people who don't have kids in high school.
That might be true. Just because you don't have kids in high school doesn't mean you don't enjoy going and watching high school football games.
No, I understand that. But I got to believe, Bobby, if you go to a high school football game, the majority of them have kids in high school.
Now, I want you to pull this up, and you can do it. You look at where the majority of the draft picks, where they came from, what states.
Yeah.
It's states where high school football is really important.
Texas, California, Florida.
So if you start putting the Dallas
Ohio.
Cowboys on Friday night, you think that's going to be good or bad for Texas high school football?
I don't know if it'll affect that much. I don't think it would, Bobby.
That's an opinion you can have, and an opinion that I will say that I don't believe to be true.
I just think if kids want to play high school football, regardless of what is on Friday night, they're going to play high school football.
People stay at home and then they don't go. When they started televising spring games and stuff, less people went. Now it's an effort to make people to go. When things are put on TV, less people go and watch them. And when they're not viewed in person, the importance of that is diminished.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying there on that front. But I'm just saying I don't think it would affect if kids play the sport or not at the high school level.
I'm just telling you.
So
over time, when things don't seem to be as important, people don't play them and they're not a part of them.
Just on a different scale than like college basketball, there's no concern with that. With Fridays having Saturdays having high school basketball games and college basketball games and NBA games.
They play high school plays multiple days a week.
Sure they do, yeah.
College basketball, other sports have always been different because it's a multi-game a week situation.
Right.
Football is a one game a week situation, and these were the time slots in your life that have always been allocated to those. And so by putting games on Friday night, and this is the other thing with the college stuff, where I wouldn't be surprised if you see executive action probably pushed back. And I don't know if you get Congress to put it into law and to amend this, but I wouldn't be surprised if you try to see them take that third Sunday or third Saturday in December back.
Really?
For college football. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because I know there's a lot of weight behind getting this figured out as to why the schedule is so jacked up, and they'll probably want other concessions, obviously, within the college football ranks of how to get this thing operating. But, I mean, there's a lot of issues with that, and it comes down to encroaching upon other people's spaces.
As far as free market goes, though.
I don't want to see Ohio State play on Friday nights. Be like, well, why not? I'll go watch the game. I'm not going to watch high school football. That's fine. But I don't want to have to choose what I'm watching. It's just in the same way as if my NFL team is playing a playoff game the same time my college football team is going to be playing because we can't play nice in the sandbox and try to give isolated viewing windows because somebody wants to gobble it all up.
I'm going to ask this question before we go to a break because right up against it right now.
And they go, why is the government involved? I'm like, well, because most of these stadiums have all been federally subsidized.
How do you feel about high school football on Saturdays during the state championship when there's other?
I hate playing high school football on Saturdays.
Yeah. I knew you would.
In Jersey, they play high school football during the day on Saturday. It's like a JV game. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
My dad, when he first went to that, when he's playing for the Giants, he's like, this is awful. Who would want to go to these?
Right.
And they're like, well, this is just when we do it. He's like, and that's why you don't have many guys that play in the NFL.
Right.
And there you go.
Always fun, Bobby. Thanks for tuning in so far, guys. We're up to a couple of people here in the chat there, Bobby. Let's wrap things up next with what's got you juiced.
1 in 4 Americans today are living with a disability. I'm one of them. I care deeply about creating a world we can all fully participate in, free from stigma, misperceptions, and barriers. And we've got a trusted ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Rooted in communities nationwide, Easter Seals helps empower millions of people, regardless of age or disability, through its life-changing services and powerful advocacy. Today and every day, Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Learn more and get involved at easterseals.com.
Once there was a man who couldn't stand.
A mom who couldn't wait.
A scientific community that said it couldn't be done.
And then you.
And then I.
And then we brought neuromuscular disease into screaming color with the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
For 75 years, our voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
We've willed the impossible into existence.
We pushed the science,
raised the funds,
shifted the narrative,
and transformed the reality of life with neuromuscular diseases.
For 75 years, we've built communities together.
established the field of neuromuscular medicine,
and made it thrive.
Call that a legacy.
Call it impact.
Call it momentum.
Just call it ours.
Because it's the generations of community heroes that give MDA the strength we have today.
And until neuromuscular disease is a thing of the past, you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive. Like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex, how did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Bobby knows what it's like to be a winner. Tito knows what it's like to be thrown out of an all-you-can-eat buffet.
You're here 4 hours.
This is Morning Juice.
Morning Juice, final segment of the program. Bobby in the chat. A guy says, I'm not sure there's a number representing the things Thidoff doesn't understand.
Well,
Now,
they have that. If you've ever looked at the number 8 and you flip it sideways, it represents...
That's like the pool thing, right? Infinity pool.
Infinite.
Oh, okay.
So from a guy being from Central Ohio,
Yes, sir.
and not understanding the importance of high school football and college football, like in the different levels of the development of just what they mean to different communities, like that, surprising.
Bobby, I don't underestimate the importance of it. I know it's important. I know. I've enjoyed going to high school football games. No. I just want to have options. By the way, if you put an Ohio State game on at Friday night and I'm at the UA game Friday night, guess what I'll do?
That's what I want to do is stream a game on my phone.
That's what I'll do.
I do that enough for my own kids' stuff.
That's what I
as
mean.
it is.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want it. I don't enjoy needing to. Why can't I just watch one thing at a time?
I don't think many people this generation can. My generation. I'm sorry. This time in the world, I don't think a lot of people do just one thing at one time.
Well, I'm not saying do one thing at one time, but
Right.
when I want to watch something of importance to me,
Sure.
I'm going to consume that. I mean, I'll stream stuff in the car while I'm driving around. That's fine. But I don't need to watch more stuff when I'm watching other things.
Okay, let's tell you what's got us juiced.
What's got you juiced?
Sponsored by Billiards Plus. Find your next grill and everything you need for the master griller. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Bobby.
It's Monday.
It's Monday.
Shark, did you cut what I sent over?
Of course I did,
Well,
Bob.
so I was just curious. We had a lot of stuff going on. What's got me juiced is there was some training that was going on today during the show, and I wasn't sure who was training whom. And so then I was able to learn that later as what was happening. And
as I'm giving Nate instructions, Bobby's like, oh, you're training him.
There's been a lot of things that have gone, Shark, after some of the stuff that had gone on last week. Would it have been a surprise to you if you wouldn't have known that there's someone else who's going to sit here and help govern and to make sure that everything is going okay? That was kind of all part of it.
I noticed when he was training him, a lot of times Shark would end the sentence with a question mark, almost like, so next you push this button?
And that's why I wasn't.
Right, I know.
I'm
The tone,
watching, and
yes.
he's talking and typing
Fair.
around, and
Yep.
I'm like, man,
Very fair.
they're training Shark in the morning before this.
Right.
What else is going on? So, yeah, I mean, there was some confusion, but I'm excited that he's able to do this. Shark's such a great coach, very patient instructor, and so he does a great job with that. It's because you're a grandparent. As a grandparent, you get more patience, my dad said.
That's probably true, yeah.
It's like, I don't know why you're in a hurry, because the next thing on the list is, well, for Shark is retire. And once you're retired, all the major milestones in your life have been checked. The next one is, shopping for headstones.
Yeah, this is very stressful, this job, Bob, which is why my hair turned prematurely white. Probably in 3 months from now, when you see me, my hair will be dark again. It's going to go back.
I like that. Hey, you know what? That would be tremendous if you dye that up. So,
am I the oldest one after he leaves?
Yeah.
Paul Keels.
Oldest one on the air regularly. I mean, I know he does the bar. I'm saying like doing shows and stuff, though, in some way, shape, or form.
I don't know. You and Rothman, that might be pretty tight.
Oh, you're right. Roth is probably older than me. Yeah, he's got to be older than me.
Don't tell him that.
I don't think so.
You don't think Roth is older than me?
How old are you, Thidoff?
54.
Just turned 54. I think Rothman does too.
Yeah,
look, he's clearly more successful, but I'm saying I think he's also older. But that's why. That's my excuse. Why is he more successful? He's been around. He's been around a lot longer than I have. A lot more experience.
That's why Shark is so successful. He's been around here for so long.
Yes.
He's experienced.
Yes.
Got me juiced. A lot of sports stuff this weekend. Weather was awesome. Got a chance to get outside, watch some things. Had a good time. Just enjoying some friends and family, watching some stuff with the kids. Very busy yesterday. Got my yard mowed. Kids mow the yard now, which is great.
I was going to say, Bobby, let's tap the brakes on I got the yard.
Well, listen, someone has to be the manager.
That's fair.
Okay, and so I'm a delegator now.
I think Heather's going to mow our yard today.
We're teaching responsibility, which is going to be critical and crucial. And so my kids got that done and got a lot of homework done. They've got a week and a half left of school, so I have to tell them, let's make sure we get a big push, get everything done going into this week so next week isn't a scramble. If there's crap that's still left out there, make sure you finish up and do a good job. Running the 625 mile had me feeling really good. I knew that I knew that I'd be able to do it. It was just a function of how bad would I feel while I was doing it. And when I came on the last 100 and I was like, okay, I've got a good 30 seconds here. I can make sure that I don't have to just blow this out and come running around like I was in middle school at a track meet and fall down at the end and want to throw up afterwards. So got that done.
Did you go and show the time? You showed it to Courtney?
I took a picture of it right
and
after.
showed it to Courtney.
I sent it to the group chat for all the naysayers out there and told them I still had a little meat left on the bone if I needed to go a little lower. But I was sufficient with being able to achieve what I said I was going to achieve. So I had that. And then I found this little nugget that I sent over to Shark that I can't even remember what it is now.
I want to teach grit. It's a trait that's missing now. I encourage people to fail. Who wants to go 0 for 0 their whole life? I'd rather go 10 for 100. Yeah. I'd rather be wrong 90 times and at least right 10. We got to encourage people to fail. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough.
Wow.
I've got grit.
If you're not failing, you're not trying hard. Well, I mean, try, fail, try again. Proceed more intelligently the next time. That's the beauty of it. That's how progress is made. To quote Mr. Sly Stallone, it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And so when I heard that, the teaching of grit, that's why I have my kids mow the grass that off, because I want them to have some level of involvement and commitment to the whole process of the family, of what we're trying to do and produce, and they have some accountability and some appreciation for it. And so we're all a team trying to pull this thing together.
If they want to get more accountability, my backyard grass, it's not a big yard, but it's getting a little long. If they want to combine some edging, I've got some pavers I need to have moved.
RJ do it all, but
I'll pay them in appreciation. Will they do that? I'll pay them in grit.
I don't know if they take that from you. I don't pay them, so it's good for them.
That's what I mean. I think they're used to it. Then they're used to it.
They get all the food they need to eat and the roof over their head. Sharks, what Slay's got today?
I'm happy that you say the team up north, and I'm also happy that I say Michigan, because I don't care, right? And then there's meat chicken and all that. Hey, everybody out there, you do you, man. Whatever you want to call them. Okay, here's what I call them: knock their off. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing that matters to me.
The good old days of
55 years ago, when I was mowing my lawn, my parents' lawn, they gave me.
Wait, I thought you said it was you didn't stop mowing it till about a couple months ago.
That too. 50 cents, Bob. 50 cents they paid me back in the 1970. So the next door neighbor comes over. Well, I'm up in Ashland last week. He comes over on his riding lawnmower. Now, grant you, they've got a quarter acre.
Right.
Not an acre, a quarter acre.
Yeah.
He comes over on his riding lawnmower. And I said, Dad, who's mowing the lawn? He said, it's next door neighbor. What do you pay him? $50. I said, you used to pay me 50 cents.
Yeah.
And you're paying him $50 to mow your lawn? Are you kidding me?
Right.
Anyway, as Bobby was talking about running a sub 6.5-minute mile, I take pride in the fact that I don't run anymore, Bob, but I do walk a lot. And on Saturday morning at 7:30 in the morning, I walked 4.3 miles.
Nice.
And then,
is that with Jan?
That was with Jan. And then Sunday evening, last night, we walked another 4 miles.
See, that would hurt
And I
me.
did a sub 18-minute mile.
That's good. I bet we could get those down to 15 minutes, Shark.
Yeah, 15 is.
That's a brisk pace.
That's a 4 on
It's
the
4 miles an hour. Yeah,
on the
treadmill.
Thank you.
Did
Bob.
you mean to walk that much, or did you walk like 2.5 miles and
got
get lost?
No, we have
I don't wonder back.
I just feel like that at Damon's opening one time. We were there at an opening, and the regional manager was supposed to be there at the opening event. We're there opening, and he's nowhere to be found, and we can't find this guy. And he shows up at the restaurant like an hour late, drenched in sweat. He had gone out for a run and got lost and didn't know where he was. He was running around trying to. This is all like pre-cell phone stuff.
Yeah.
He wasn't carrying around like a printed out map that he got or something like that.
This is pre-dementia for me. So give me another 10 years and maybe I will get lost on my walk. But right now I know where I'm going.
He told us that story last week, so I know the dementia's sitting in already. But
anyway, I wasn't finished saying.
I know you weren't. Go ahead, please.
I'm training Nate today because Nate's going to take over Morning Juice on Friday and Tuesday.
Yeah.
I had to take my holidays, use it or lose it before I retire. So I'm taking off Friday, Monday, Tuesday. And I looked at the weather forecast today because the pool opens Friday.
Yeah.
Where I live.
That's supposed to not be great.
High 57.
Yeah.
Saturday 64, Sunday 68, Monday 69, Tuesday 69. Clouds every day. That's how I'm going to spend my 5-day freaking weekend. And then finally, Tito, I used to do the Buckeye Show with Tito, among other shows. We also did weekend shows. And he checked out of baseball, 94 when they had the strike?
Oh, sure.
He's not a baseball fan anymore. He can tell you everything that happened in 1970, but he can't tell you anything that happens now. All of a sudden, Mr. Baseball shows up this morning with a Cincinnati Reds hat on. And I know who my friends are when you show up with the Reds hat. After you spanked the Guardians all weekend, using a former Guardian player to hit 4 home runs in 3 games.
Yeah.
And the coach.
Knock that crap off, Tito. Don't ever show up with a Reds hat on in front of me until after July 1st.
Went to the game. First time I've been in Great American Ballpark in a long time. And first time I've ever seen a Reds-Cleveland baseball game. A lot of fun. Good crowd out there. Good atmosphere. It's not a bad seat in that place. It's really nice.
How'd you like when the Tribe loaded the bases in the first inning with 1 out and they bring on John Kenzie Noel with a 150 batting average? He's the last guy in the American League you want up at the plate with the bases loaded because you know he's going to strike out, and that's what he did.
I thought he was due.
He's going to be in Columbus next week, I hope.
And they had like a guy on second with nobody out in the next 2 innings, I think.
Led off both innings with doubles.
Yeah. And couldn't get anybody home
left
then.
12 men on base yesterday.
Abbott was messing with fire all day for the Reds.
Oh, gosh, that's
brutal. And they constantly guys. The guy next to me is one of the guys that went with us is a Cleveland fan. He was out there wearing a some kind of jersey from, I can't remember which player was on it. Might have been Bayerga.
Chief Wahoo on it?
I don't know if that Wahoo or not.
I'd be so offended if you did.
No, you wear Wahoo stuff in here all the time.
I do not. I stopped. I'm politically
When did you stop?
correct.
You stopped after.
I heard they're bringing back Chief Wahoo.
I've got a Cleveland. It says Cleveland on the front. It doesn't say Indians.
I heard they were bringing Chief Wahoo back.
Yeah.
I saw something about that.
You sent it to me.
Yeah.
You sent me the link, and I said fake news. It's not going to happen.
Can you imagine? Like, you go back and look at the 70s logos and the 70s mascots and how none of that stuff would fly right now.
No, Chief Nakahoma for the Braves.
Chief Nakahoma was the Braves guy. Whenever the Braves had home run,
Nakahoma.
He had a
Come out of his tent.
Listen, he had a teepee out in center field, and he would come out and dance. Nakahoma. I never understood that.
That just landed after you said he hit a home run, and then he'd come out and dance.
Yeah, sometimes he would go out and dance around the pitcher's mound before the visiting team took the field to try to put some kind of curse on the other team.
The cultural appropriation that all is all time
and look
high.
at the Braves logo back then too.
Oh yeah,
it was worse than Chief Wahoo.
Well, and Chief, what's his name? Chief Illini Weck.
What do you think?
Is this another made-up one, or am I?
No, he came out there on his horse.
Am I supposed to try to hear
He came out there on his horse.
Well, they still do
in
that.
Champaign.
I
don't think they do that anymore.
They don't do that. They do it at Florida State. They do. Tallahassee. They do.
Florida State still does it. I go. That's arguably one of the great entrances of all time. You come up there. He's got the flaming spear and buries that thing into the ground before the game, riding in on a horse. I'm like, that is the most intimidating thing I've ever seen. It's a little different than Nakahoma swinging back on fire water than dancing around the mound.
I watched so much Braves baseball as a kid because TBS was one of them. And I was probably 47 years old when I got the Nakahoma joke. Like, I just saw it was Nakahoma like a real quick.
I got it before 2 years before.
It's
5 years before you.
Knock-A-Homa. Yeah, I didn't get it till I was like in my 40s when I realized it was. I thought, Chief Nakahoma. Like, that's just the name they gave him. But yeah, it was. He would go out there and do that full Indian gear. The TP was always out there in center
Chief
field.
Nakahoma was actually Native American?
There's no chance whatsoever. There was no chance he was actually Native American. No. He's like the
just
guy
a
in
real
the
tan white dude with some long hair,
like the guy
Italian
in the Don't Litter commercial who's got the tear going down. He's not Native American either, right? Was
what?
He?
Someone who's Latino.
He's like Italian or something. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Oh, you just ruined my childhood.
That ruined it right there.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's.
Isn't
worse.
anything real anymore?
No, nothing's real anymore, Shark.
Nothing was ever real. You just always believed it was.
I know.
So that's got me juiced going out there in the Great American Ballpark. That was a lot of fun. Seeing the win, seeing Artie wear a Reds hat, which was nice. Being able to tell Artie, no, we're not buying you Reds stuff. Like, you wanted to buy a jersey and all stuff. And just,
of course he did.
The fact he wanted to was great, but, I said no to all that stuff because
when did you buy that hat?
This one?
In the 90s?
Artie got this for me for my birthday this year. So I got it on April 28th.
All of a sudden,
not all of a sudden,
Cincinnati Reds fan.
He's asking me questions walking through. They get the big pictures of some of the former players, Perez and Morgan and Concepcion. He's asking me questions about
Pete
them.
Let me tell you about the greatest right there.
Let me tell you about Rose.
Pete Rose.
In Pete Rose fashion, by the way, and there were 4 kids with us.
You bet on the game.
No, but in the third inning, the kids went up into like the shaded area, and they had a bag of peanuts, and I go up there and say, "What are you guys doing?" And they said, "We're gambling for peanuts." I'm not sure what the gambling game was, but they were doing some kind of gambling involving you could win the peanuts, though. And they were sitting on the dirty ground right there near the restroom area and doing that. But they were gambling for peanuts, though, which I thought was Pete would have been proud of that one. The FanDuel, Pete Rose induction ceremony probably we'll have here in a couple years. So thank you so much for tuning in on the chat. We appreciate that. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Nate, for helping Shark out. He got through the show for the most part. I'm sure you'll stay for a while afterwards. Maybe we'll meet about that. Bobby, thank you as always. And make sure you tune in again tomorrow. We'll be here again for 2 full hours. If you want to watch us, and I don't blame you if you do, 10 TV Plus will have us. They're going to replay it from 10 a.m. to noon. Download the free app. This has been Morning Juice right here.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
My son Ian was diagnosed with a brain tumor at the age of 16 months. The outlook was pretty rough. I mean, it was, we had no hope until St. Jude rescued us. I mean, they saved him. To this date, we are 12 years into this journey, and from day one, we've never once seen a bill. It gave us the peace of mind to know that we're there with our son and we're going to beat cancer together. Now he is doing really, really well. He's alive because of what St. Jude has done. He's here because of the doctors who came before, their blood, their sweat, their tears, the knowledge accumulated and shared, with everyone else around the world. This is how we get rid of this, how we help kids beat cancer all over. It's the future.
Together, we will make yours possible for every child everywhere. Learn more at stjude.org.
It's been a real journey since 2014 when I first had my injury. I realized that my home was just not working for me and that it was time to ask for help. Homes for Our Troops is really giving me my life back. The shower allows me to go in and turn around with my chair, pull down storage racks, automated door systems, hours of my morning given back to me. Adaptive sports are a huge part of my life, a huge part of my healing journey as well. Homes for Our Troops helped with making sure that I had a home gym so that I can continue to train. This past year, I was able to host Thanksgiving in my home. And it was the first time I was able to have my whole family in one place and I was able to contribute to the meal. There are a lot more veterans in need and Homes for Our Troops is going to be there to help them too.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa